Welcome to Tech Now. I'm your host, John Reed, also CEO of Cat Alliance. And we're pleased to have with us from his office in Toronto, Willie Wong, the Marketing Manager, Security, Mobility, and Business Continuity for IBM Canada. Now, the title in itself, describes what we're going to discuss. And Willie, we've been looking at some of the cybersecurity risks in the marketplace, both for enterprises and also for individuals. It's quite a topic of interest, and we've asked you today to share some of your perspectives. What are the key factors that are really shaping that risk element in the marketplace? Could you take that on as the big question today?
Well, John, thank you very much for having me in this discussion. I'm very, very pleased to be here. To answer your question about what's happening out in the cybersecurity world, a couple of things. First of all, the number of attacks have increased significantly. You see a lot of vendor reports, a lot of white papers around that, a significant amount of attacks happening. But what is even more concerning is the type of attacks, the sophistication of the attacks. They are no longer just trying to hack into your network. They are looking at your people, leveraging social networks, finding out what you've got in your infrastructure, who your partners are. So you're looking at these hackers that are trying to get in, and they have a lot more resources. They've got the element of surprise. The element of surprise is key because you don't know what's happening. Okay. The other issues that you have out in the industry is, and I guess it's how could you say, it's kind of a windfall for people that are in security because there is a security skill shortage. The challenge with that, when you have a security skills shortage, is everybody's either poaching or they're just hiring anybody that can spell security, which is somewhat of a dangerous thing to do sometimes because they're all going to do security differently. And lastly, because you've got a skill shortage, you don't typically have the appropriate levels of security in running in your organization. When a breach does happen, you can associate brand reputation with that breach. And at the end of the day, when you talk to CEOs and CFOs, the bottom line is, when I get hacked, it's going to cost me not only money, but also my brand image. So you take Target as a perfect example. They got hacked. I think they went down quite a few points the next day on the stock market, the financial markets. And their CEO just stepped down a few months ago.
So that global brand issue is significant. And I guess if I'm sitting in a company with this risk, what's my mitigation plan? How can I have this not happen to me? Well,
when you look at security, there's several factors. One is having a good policy in place. What I tell customers when I talk to them is they focus a lot on the technology side. And typically, that is the security folks that actually run security. But on the management side, financial CFO as well as CEO, I always tell them you need to look at awareness too, because awareness can actually eliminate a lot, or not eliminate, but reduce a lot of security risk. For the simple reason that people just don't know. They don't know they shouldn't click an email. They don't know they should not go to an inappropriate site or a hacker site. Right? So awareness is very key. Technology, definitely. Policy is important as well. You have to tell them, here's our policy. Don't use your laptop here, etc., etc. We have the tools in place. If you do that, we'll address it, and there will be consequences. Lastly, the other thing too is that we know that everybody has certain types of technology in their environment, whether it be firewalls, IDS, monitoring systems, identity access management. The thing is that technology worked really well a few years back, but due to the sophistication of attacks, you really need to have security intelligence. So security intelligence, what is that? To give you an idea is, if you want to reduce mitigation of getting hacked, you would say, okay, my entire network, I've got log files, IDS, firewalls, everything running, and I'm collecting that data and saving them in log files. Now, typically, if you have a breach or you want to see if someone's trying to hack you, you review all those log files from those different sources. You literally have thousands upon thousands of entries. What security intelligence does is take all that information, correlate that with some data, filter it out, and say, okay, automatically, by the way, automatically, and take all that data and say, by the way, you have 15,000 attacks. Out of those attacks, 500 are relevant to our infrastructure. Out of those 500, we should be worried about these 3. And the reason why you want to do that is very simple. You only have a limited staff. You have them chasing thousands upon thousands of different incidents. You don't want them to do that. You want them to focus on the incidents that matter.
Well, Willie, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Again, what we try to do in Tech Now is start conversations that address key priorities. And certainly, we understand that cybersecurity has become much more important in terms of the executive suite, global brand, and also for you and I as individuals. So, thank you for sharing your perspectives with us.
Well, thank you, John, for having me. It was a pleasure.